Scientifically speaking, we're sharing the view. From labs to clinics, breakthrough shining through, with minds that inspire and stories to unfold. Scientifically speaking, the future's being told.
Welcome to Scientifically Speaking with Christine Almowy and Ma Christine on Oz Arab Media. Today, we are exploring the incredible connection between music, the brain, and emotional regulation. Have you ever noticed how a song can instantly lift your mood, bring back a memory, or even calm your nerves? Science has shown that music has a profound impact on our mental health, cognitive function, and emotional well-being. Well, to help us dive deeper into this fascinating topic, we are joined by Ghada Daher Elmowy, a highly respected music educator and conductor. Soprano Ghada is an accomplished vocalist, producer, and choir director, deeply involved in promoting Arabic and Andalusian music in Australia. She has directed many church choirs, formed the Andalus Arabic Choir, and performed at prestigious venues like the Sydney Opera House and the Great Hall at the University of Sydney. Ghada's contribution extend to multicultural festivals, educational initiatives, and on her ongoing PhD in archaeology. Her dedication has earned her numerous awards, including the Medal for Arts and Culture from the Premier of New South Wales in 2021. Ghada, it's a warm welcome to the show.
Thank you, Christine. It's such nice to see you and be on your show.
Of course, thank you so much for coming again and accepting my proposal. As everyone know, or if they don't remember, we have had a previous interview together last year, and it's our pleasure to have you on again. If you don't mind me, no worries. If you don't mind me starting with our first question. I know you are a musician, but we all know that science is a lot part of it. So if I want to take it scientifically, what happens in our brain when we listen to music, and how does it influence our emotions?
Okay, when we listen to music, our brain activity increases and start releasing dopamine or dopamine
Yes,
in the
the
term.
happy hormone.
Yes, it's a neurotransmitter linked to pleasure, to reward, to compensation on various emotional levels. Sound waves are conducted by our ears and our bones to the
Right.
brain, which translate those waves into something we perceive as music. In
Nice.
turn, music highly activates multiple areas in the brain where emotions are triggered, where motor control ameliorates movement, where cognitive functions are stimulated and improved, where physical effects are also evident in heart rate, in blood pressure, in breathing. It's all depending on music intensity and tempo. Now, just quickly
Of
to
course.
say cognitive functions in simple words, for those who don't know, are
Yes.
related to our conscious mental activities such as
Nice.
reasoning, learning, remembering, verbal communication, words, language, imagining, creating. In
Right.
short, it is the mental process involved in learning, knowing, and understanding things. Music highly activates this aspect in our brain.
That's amazing to hear it from a scientific point of view. And I'm sure you have explained how music interacts with the brain on a neurological level. But if we can simplify it into better words for those who are not very much of a scientific background, music interaction with the brain on a neurological level.
Uh, this is hard to explain how the brain and our neurological system are interacted for those who don't know and
Right.
listen about music and know about it. But I would like to talk about an experiment that will help us a little bit understand the process. We talk about an experiment on fetuses with particular music such as Mozart or Tchaikovsky, how they react to it and settle after they are born. I also talk about Fairuz was also the music of Fairuz or the voice of Fairuz was also
Right.
an experiment too. The experiment was conducted on a large number of fetuses.
Right.
Science is much more advanced nowadays. He is using technology to stimulate the brain, the neurological system and emotional state by transmitting music to the brain via bone conduction.
Mm.
This goes back to the experiment on fetuses, where they received the music via bone conduction while they are in their mother's womb, using the same music all along. After being born, those babies who received this experiment reacted positively to this music in the same way they react to their mother's.
Wow. It's like they
So
self-remembered it.
they remember it, and the sound was transmitted
Embedded
to
in
them
them.
via the bone conduction.
Yeah.
The voice mother, the music itself that is repeated. It's the same مقطوعة الموسيقية. It's the same music. So
Yeah, right.
yeah, so they react to it, whether they settle, how they settle with it. For example, when the baby cries, leave the baby cry.
Right.
When they hear the mother's voice, what happens?
They alert straight away. They calm
They
down.
they
Yeah.
settle. They settle. They know that help is coming, whether they are hungry or upset or So they settle. And the same happened with the
Music.
particular music that they chose for this particular experiment. When they started playing that music to the baby after the baby is born, they measured the brain activity and emotional activity on that level, and babies settled and started reacting. The brain activity came into effect, and they settled. They waited for the help to come, and the same.
Yeah.
Fairuz was one of the voice of Fairuz was also used
Oh,
in a later experiment, not with the same people.
yeah, of course. I understand. As on Arabic music, that's amazing.
Yeah,
And
and also I also want to mention that science is always advancing and using new technologies. One of the modern technologies is used by Tomatis. Tomatis is a French brand using those therapies or those ways of using music
yeah,
as a way of this. This method is using is work by diffusing classical music via a device with a special headset. The music is transmitted right and left through that headset in a fraction of a second interval difference at a random pace to challenge the brain and prevent it from predicting a pattern, because the brain has this habit, it starts
yeah.
predicting. This is used for treating multiple issues, from learning difficulties in children, from autism, from depression, young or adult people,
I'm coming
memory
to all
loss,
of this, but that's amazing. Yes.
rejuvenation of the auditive system. This is all doable via music, and also using science to transmit right and left through the headset bone conduction and stimulate the brain in that sense.
That is amazing. Never underestimate music in your life. That's
And
amazing.
science, with the combination of
That
science.
is true. I agree. But certain songs, Ghada, do trigger emotions. Why these songs trigger strong emotions or bring back vivid memories?
That's because they are linked to an event, a moment in life where emotions were very strong, regardless whether they were joyful or sad.
Yeah, yeah.
Those moments are triggered, and then music brings them back.
So we can say it's a little bit of a combination between the music, the brain, and some psychology. With
Absolutely.
that. Oh, wow.
Absolutely. And this is where the neurological system works. But it's hard to explain to people who don't understand how psychology and brain are
Work together.
interlinked. Yeah.
100%. But are there specific types of music that are specifically proven to reduce stress and anxiety, like you mentioned earlier?
Of course, calm, repetitive music is proved is proved by laboratory research to reduce stress and anxiety levels in general.
Wow.
Having said that, some people, not myself, but some people need heavy metal music to release
I
stress.
was gonna tell you, to be honest, that's between brackets. I get really anxious hearing repetitive music like Mozart and those people. It just sits on my nerves. I can't.
Yeah. So we are not all the
The
same.
same, yeah.
So, as I mentioned, some people need heavy metal or upbeat music to release those stress level by moving, dancing, jumping, running, to let go of this accumulated stress. So we are different. Every
We
person.
are different. I think it depends on the personality as well,
Yes,
or the
absolutely.
circumstances they've lived in their life. That's very interesting. But how does music help in emotion regulation, especially for people dealing with stress, anxiety, or depression? You did mention something in
Yeah.
the brain's and neurological
Yeah, yeah, yeah. As I
sequence.
mentioned, when brain activity is stimulated,
Right.
cognitive functions are activated. They start releasing emotional satisfaction, lowering the stress level and depression. Obviously, music is a major component as a stimulant. It is also recommended to have a proper, in addition to music, it is also, we recommend to have a proper healthy diet,
Yeah.
a physical exercise regime to complement altogether. Music is on its own is not
Doesn't do
sufficient.
much. Yeah.
So
Like everything else.
you have to make a proper environment to make music help you in your endeavor.
That is very interesting. Now you mentioned that for most of people, music is relaxing and de-stresses them. Can it be used as a tool for mindfulness and relaxation? And if so, how does it compare to meditation?
Yeah, music is certainly used for relaxation, especially the type that is simple, where the rhythm is slow and percussion is not intense.
Right.
Most relaxing music is made by instruments where you can plug them, string
Right.
instruments such as lutes, harps, classic guitars, violin. Piano and flute also play a role in relaxing music. The slow pace of the music helps the individual to self-reflect, be like
Go
helps
somewhere else.
self-awareness, mindfulness, meditation, and relaxation as well. Meditation can be achieved without music.
Right.
So music helps depending on, again, each person's needs. Some people need music to do meditation, to meditate. Some people prefer to meditate without music.
Without music,
Yeah.
yeah. Again, it all depends on people's personalities, but if it doesn't help, it doesn't go against. Am I correct?
Yes, absolutely.
Amazing. Um, you mentioned something about instruments. Some are smoother than others. Do you think playing an instrument have a stronger emotional impact than just listening to music?
Yes, playing an instrument can certainly build a stronger emotional impact if the person is composing music or playing an instrument to enjoy.
Wow.
On the contrary, when we start playing music as a job, after a while it loses this effect.
Becomes
After
stressful.
a while, the musician becomes immune to the emotional impact in general.
Right.
On the other hand, for those who don't play an instrument, listening to music is therapeutic emotion.
Wow. There's a wide ideas around this. We often hear that music improves brain function, but how does learning an instrument enhance memory, the focus, and the problem-solving skills?
We think of music of being a new language for the brain.
Right.
The more you challenge the brain, the more it is able to progress. Apart from being mathematically extensive,
Right.
we're talking about music, it engages multiple senses synchronously, as in visually reading a music chart process it through the brain in a microsecond, to process the order via the nerves, the neurological system, to the hands, to the
Wow.
fingers or the feet, if we're playing drums, to execute, to play what is written in a chart. This process requires focus to read, memory of theoretical formulas, memory of sensory motor action to play the correct tune, especially on non-fretted instruments such as violin, the oud, the cello. So you are combining all these functions in a microsecond, where you read, you transmit into an action, you use your memory, how you move your fingers on the piano or on an oud, on a violin, or guitar.
Brain body connection.
Yeah. So the memory of sensory motor action is also required for all other instruments when it comes to posture, moving hands and fingers, intensity. All these methods require problem solving to perform the best outcome musically.
Nice.
Therefore, they become skills for life. This is where many children excel in their academic performance, especially if they start at a young age. This was
Right.
proven by multiple research papers on this subject.
That is amazing. And in my opinion, I think it's better than the English and the maths subjects that try to build all of these skills in us. But unfortunately,
Unfortunately, we have to learn all
we
these.
have to learn them. Do different instruments affect the brain differently, Ghada? For example, if playing a piano engages the brain differently than playing a violin or drums or anything else?
A music chart in violin requires reading one stave in treble clef. يعني بالعربي إلا بالفرنساوي إلا بالكلي دو سول.
Yeah.
While the piano chart involves reading two staves at the same time. The top one in treble clef for the right hand and the bass clef for the left hand underneath. So it's like using two different units while
Like
processing
multitask.
information and action at the same time. So you are reading right hand on the top stave and left hand on the end different. So pedagogically, and from an educational perspective in pedagogy, piano is more challenging to learn the skill at first.
Yes.
That's why children's capacity to learn and excel is much faster than adult. And this is not to minimize any other, importance of learning an instrument,
yes.
any other instruments. They are all important, but piano, because you are reading the treble clef and the bass clef, is more challenging at the beginning.
That is very interesting. And now you're talking, and I'm thinking, I try to push my daughter, who loves to sing, into playing the piano, and I do not really understand that it's that multitasking.
It's using two separate systems in
Yeah.
the head to process the two information at the same time.
But
Kids,
that's not for everyone, though.
yeah, it's not for everyone, but kids have the ability to learn this at a younger age much faster than the adults.
Oh, wow.
I experienced it myself when I started learning.
Of course. Well, learning is one thing, but benefiting is another, right? So is there an age limit to benefit from music? Like, can adults still develop cognitive benefits from learning an instrument later in life?
Of course, the best age to start learning music is for children between 5 and 9 years old, each depending on their abilities.
Right.
Parents can start introducing them at a younger age, younger than 5, non-conventionally to music instruments and sound until they are ready to handle an instrument by 5 or by 9 years old. The children's ability to learn, as we mentioned, is fast, is so fast, and develop learning and practice habits much higher than adults. Their brain is like a sponge. It absorbs everything.
Amazing.
Adults, they can still learn, but they are
Not
slower
at the
in
same pace.
comparison to children,
Mm.
because their brain is already developed and complete, but they can still learn and benefit cognitively, but the process is slow.
Slower. Right. If you don't mind me continuing into the next question, Ghada, music is deeply tied to culture. How does Arabic and classical music influence emotions differently from Western music? And I think you're the best person to ask you this question.
Look, cultural music is tied to emotions, to joy, to sorrow, to childhood, to adulthood, to moments in time, to
Right.
dance movements, whether sensual, like belly dancing, or group dance, like dabke. Arabic music generates particular sentiments that are far more emotional than Western music, to
Wow.
me, who grew up immersed with Arabic music.
Ah,
Having said that, there are few special tunes that I knew in Western music that also connect with some memories as a teenager when I was
yeah,
overseas. I am sure the experience is reversed to a person who grew up surrounded by Western music. So
that's interesting.
we all have our. You don't expect a person, for example, who grew up in rural New South Wales, listening to country music and having emotional attachment and
Connection to it.
memories to it, to react to the same way they react to Arabic music. They
Mm.
might like it, but to trigger the memories, it's what you. There are music attached to our brain with particular moments where this music.
Right. How you're raised with what you're raised and what was surrounding you back then. That is interesting, but you did mention we do have connection to the other world as well, regardless what's our world. How does music unite people and strengthen the community bonds through that?
Unlike politics,
Yes.
music is food for the soul. It brings
Right.
people together.
Right.
Classical tunes, regardless whether in which classical sense we talk, folk music, popular songs, they are all certainly nostalgic, and people relate to them in a positive way, especially when the rhythm is vibrant
You're
and
right.
they start dancing.
Yeah.
We also have to talk about patriotic songs and hymns during trauma or crises of any sort. They really unite people and bond them as they find strength in each other's support.
I
And that's
never thought about it in a very emotional way. I always thought this patriotic music is just political, like you mentioned, but it does have impact on our soul somehow.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's very nice. Can music help bridge cultural differences and promote emotional and understanding across different backgrounds? Would I be able to understand these people more through their music?
We are fortunate to live in Australia,
Mm.
where many cultures are open to experiencing music from multiple backgrounds.
Mm.
We are also seeing various councils organizing multicultural musical events involving ethnic music from different cultural groups. The Andalus Arabic Choir, in particular, I can talk about this, participates in those multicultural events in an effort to build bridges with other communities and the Australian society in general to showcase our rich music. In the same way, we learn about other music. We now see more people engage with our music. It is certainly the best tool to help bridge cultural differences, promote acceptance and emotional connection across various backgrounds.
That's amazing. We can see clearly that in New South Wales, to be honest. Now, for someone struggling with stress or emotional imbalance, how can they incorporate music into their daily routine for mental well-being?
Oh, we currently live in a global world
We-
where free music is accessible in the car, on the radio, or on TV, and more importantly, via our mobile phones on multiple platforms. We can choose a playlist of adequate music and songs and listen to them in the morning, for example, while traveling to work or to university, in the car or on the train, on the bus. It's a good way to start the day.
I actually do that most of the time, so I'm on the right track. Looks like it. Before wrapping up, what advice would you give to parents who want their children to experience the cognitive and emotional benefits of music?
Let them learn to play an instrument.
Oh my God.
Any instrument is good. Let them delve into this fascinating world of music where the benefits are evident emotionally, physically, and in cognitive functions, including sensory motor responses. We've
Uh,
tried this with kids, trust me.
I try with mine. All they do is sing, not play music. Before we go, Ghada, where can people learn more about the benefits of music from your work and your expertise, especially through the Endless Arabic Choir?
Look, music is an international language that brings people together. This is the creative language that we, the Andalus Arabic Choir, speak in spreading joy, positivity to our audience. Our YouTube videos from our live performances are a testimony of this emotional interaction with our audience. You, Christine, were part of this experience
I
last
was.
year where you documented people's comments and feelings before and after our concert.
Indeed.
It was, the feedback was overwhelmingly rewarding to hear about people's enjoyment of our music and the nostalgic tunes which connected them with old memories and sweet moments. So I would say to the public, please join us for a new experience at our annual concert this year on Friday, 14 November at Seymour Center. The tickets,
Amazing.
obviously, all the information and the tickets will be sold exclusively via the venue, and we will put the information. Once ready, we will put the information on our website, andalusarabicchoir.com, and all the information will be there. We'll be grateful for your support, and you will be very happy connecting with those emotions, nostalgic
Amazing.
tunes, and be submerged by this creative environment to put you in touch with your emotional state.
That is amazing. Just looking at you, how you're, selling the Endless Choir, would just want us to be there. It means how much it's touching your neurological cells, if we can say
Absolutely.
that. And definitely Oz Arab Media will be there and a bridge to the information closer to time. Ghada, I want to thank you for sharing your expertise and insights today. It's been fascinating to see really how deeply music is connected to our brain, our emotions, and our well-being. Music is truly a powerful force that can heal, inspire, and transform lives. So thank you so much for today.
Thank you, Christine. If you want a long-term benefit, if you can sing, join our choir.
Of course, that is awesome. I hope a lot of people can. Is it only in Arabic? Let us say, because some people might want to sing in different languages. Do you sing only in Arabic?
99% of our
90.
songs are in Arabic, but occasionally, yes, we do incorporate other languages depending on the occasion, depending on the song as
There
well.
you go. So you can be a listener or a singer. Thank you so much, Ghada, for that. Well, and before we go to our listeners, I'd like to say if you want to learn more about the cognitive and emotional benefits of music, or if you're interested in just experiencing the power of music, be sure to check the Andalus Arabic Choir. That's all for today's episode on Scientifically Speaking with Christine. Stay tuned for more fascinating discussions. And until next time, I tell you, keep the music playing in your life. Until next time.